going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Wednesday. It is Wednesday. We're back with another edition of the Morning View. Tomorrow, Manchester United back in action at Old Trafford in the Europa League. Yes, Ruben Amorim's first home game as the new Manchester United head coach. We've got plenty to get into this morning. We're going to be talking about the challenges that he's got ahead of him, ahead of this Europa League game. And just actually, I was thinking this the other day. I think it was yesterday. I had a bit of a realization. I went, that Europa League's going to be, that's really, really important for us this season. I mean, our performances in Europe this season and just last season and for a while have not been very good, but it's going to be really, really, really important. So we're talking about that. We'll be talking about players. Can they adapt? We'll be talking about how do we fix scoring goals. We'll be talking about, I'm not actually going to do it because I'm not like Pep Guardiola. We'll be talking about the meltdown that is happening with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. I saw some people in the chat before I went live saying, is that a Photoshop of Pep with the he's got a big cut on his nose and he's got the scratches on his head? That's real. That legitimately is real. The only difference of that picture is just like the contrast has been turned up a little bit so you can see them. They're real. The guy is literally scratching his skin off his head and his face because Manchester City are in a complete and total meltdown. And I know sometimes when we do this kind of thing and people are like, worry about yourself, or Man United, you're still in the mud and look where you are on the table, look what you've done, this, that and the other. My response with that is, who gives a shit? If you can't, you got to take your opportunities when you get them, don't you? So very funny, very humorous. I saw there was a thing on Twitter yesterday that was saying like the bold spirit has left Erik ten Hag now that he's no longer in Manchester, and it's like latched itself to Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, because that was last night. I mean, that was a Man United level of capitulation. I mean, we have seen, look, we know it better than anyone, don't we? Earlier on this season against Porto, last season, a bunch of times. I mean, we had more 3-3 games last season than probably anyone. The amount of times that we would be like 3-1 up, 2-1 up, end up 3-3. I mean, again, we had the FA Cup semi-final 3-3. We did end up actually going through in the end on penalties, but we've lived that multiple times. So to see someone else, particularly Manchester City, particularly Pep Guardiola, get into a situation where he's scratching his head like he's some kind of old cat lady in his big, woolly jumper on the touchline. I just thought was terrific. I thought it was absolutely terrific. It was a surprise but a welcome one on a Tuesday evening. I very much enjoyed that. So yeah, we'll watch their progress closely. I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars references there, but we'll watch their progress closely as to what happens moving forward. Of course, we've got to play City soon, so that's going to also be really interesting. And that was actually something that I did want to bring up, and it kind of moves me into what I'm going to talk about this morning is, the challenges that are ahead for Ruben Amorim, because I've spoken a lot about the December and January ahead of for Manchester United and some of the games that we've got in there, and we're calling for a need for time, for patience, for suffering, and Manchester United certainly are going to suffer. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to be collectively scratching our faces off a bit like Pep is. Like, I don't know, I can't think. I'm just trying to think if I've ever seen a reaction like that. I can't recall a time. We've seen manager head losses or coach head losses on the touchline, haven't we? I mean, there was the was it last year, which was Allegri? I think Allegri when he was still at Juventus. When he took his jacket off and he was like, he had his shirt undone, he's flailing around the touchline. There's that. What other good manager head losses have there been? I'm trying to think. There have been a lot. I mean, there's an iconic one of obviously Arsene Wenger at Old Trafford. He gets sent to the stand. He doesn't know where to go. He's like in between the dugouts, gives it all that, doesn't it? Like he looked like he's a statue in Brazil. What else has there been proper manager head losses? There's been a few, hasn't there? Oh, do you remember when Alan Pardew headbutted a player? That was good when he was Newcastle manager. He didn't play in Hull, and he did that. Andrea says Louis van Gaal falling over. That's true. Yes, that one. Yeah, actually, let us know in the chat if you can think of any other famous or infamous manager head losses, and in the comment section below, because there are loads, isn't there? Content too cool, Lil Yo-Yo says. But I'm talking like, that was like a bit of pushing and shoving. I'm talking, proper. Like, again, the Louis van Gaal one, that is good. But that wasn't. I suppose that is head loss when you dive into the floor, isn't it? That's one. Yeah, there's been quite a few, haven't there? There've been quite a few of that. So let us know in the comment section. But again, even with all that, I don't think Man United fans have been digging our fingers into our heads or anything like that, and taking our nose off. CJK Digital. Oh, the Mourinho one at Spurs. Is that the one with the when he sprints up to the fourth official? That is good. That one is a good one. That's a classic. When his assistant manager goes, he should be booked. He goes up to the fourth official. That one is good. But yes, stay on track, Owen. So coming up, I'm just looking at these fixtures that Manchester United have got ahead of ourselves, and I'm thinking the adaptation period that we've got ahead is going to be difficult because we've got some big games coming up. Now, this week really is the week where you're like, okay, despite maybe tactical challenges, despite difficulty and players not really knowing maybe where they're meant to be, despite players coming back from injury, you're looking tomorrow and you're going, right, Bodo Glimt, Old Trafford. Not an easy game. Bodo Glimt are actually a good side. And they've had some big scalps in Europe before. Thinking of Jose, they were the team that beat Roma, was it like 7-1 or something ridiculous at home in the Europa League, Europa Conference League a few years ago. So they've had some big scalps, but you would go, right, United should win that game. Everton, Old Trafford on Sunday. You know what Sean Dyche is going to do. You know what Everton are going to do. But you should go, right, United should, and should's a big word when it comes to Manchester United, but United should win that game. And maybe, and when I say should win that game despite the limitations of still working out the system, still trying to figure out, who goes where, still Ruben Amorim learning about his players, who actually is going to fit, who's going to do what I ask them to do, etc., etc. But then after that, you're looking at Arsenal away at the Emirates. Looking at Forest at home. Now, I know that Forest got dealt with pretty easily at the weekend by Arsenal when they played them at home, but still they've had a very good start to the season. Going to be a challenging game. After that, Victoria Pilsen away in the Europa League. Those away games are always difficult, but with the Europa League certainly still at this stage, just about getting through to the next phase. After that, Manchester City away, Etihad. After that, Spurs away, Carabao Cup, but still Spurs away. Bournemouth at home, Wolves away on Boxing Day. Newcastle at home on the 30th of December, and then beginning of the new year at Anfield against Liverpool. There are games there which you go, look, the adaptation period. This is what I was saying yesterday, that I look at that and go, there are going to be a couple of games there. There are going to be a couple of games there, a couple of results where it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice. There might be some negative results in there, or results where we go, yeah, that's a bit rough. In the space of a month, about a month, 6 weeks, you're playing Arsenal, City, Spurs, Liverpool, Newcastle, Forest. Quite concerning, isn't it? Quite a reality check. And we had a reality check away against Ipswich on Sunday. Now, that's not to say that we're going to lose every single game and it's going to be terrible. It's just to say that there might be a couple in there where we go, that might be a bit rough. And we've almost got to collectively compose ourselves, I think, from now. You know what I mean? I think from now. Because like Ruben Amorim has been saying, we're gonna have to suffer, and I'm looking at these next couple of months, going, these are the time that we might suffer. Now, obviously, look, things might go very well. Things might go better than we think. We're talking about City at the moment. They're not, Manchester City that we're accustomed to. Imagine we did go to the Etihad and got a really good result where we're like, bloody hell, see, Pep. And by that point, Pep's just ripped off his face. He's wearing something. It's like Face Off. He's John Travolta settings, or he's Nicolas Cage, which one or the other. At that point, he's just someone out. Oh, it's like Scooby-Doo. It was Erik ten Hag under there the whole time. You would have got away with it if it was for your meddling kids. I don't know. But, that actually might be a positive result. Spurs away. Our recent record at the last few times we've gone away to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium hasn't been great. We've seen some really shitty performances the last couple of times, actually. But it's still Spurs this season. I know they just beat City, but they also just lost to Ipswich too. You never know what you're going to get. Liverpool at Anfield in January. Hopefully by that point, because by the time we play Liverpool, we'd have played, including the game at the weekend with under Amorim. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 games under Ruben Amorim, plus an extensive amount of time training. You would go, well, hopefully there would be a bit of rhythm by that point. There'd be a bit more cohesion. Players are coming back too. I think that's also a thing that has to be talked about a lot. I saw a lot of discourse about, when talking about players not knowing what they're meant to be doing and players not sure where they're meant to be. You have to keep in mind that starting 11 he picked at the weekend is so far removed from what I think an ideal starting 11, just with this group of players, let alone bringing players in. It's difficult to take a lot from that. In the ideal Ruben Amorim starting 11, Johnny Evans doesn't start. Mazraoui doesn't start at right centre-back. You get Yoro and Martinez in there. Midfield, does Casemiro start? Is it Ugarte starting instead? Eriksen definitely doesn't start. It's probably Kobbie Mainoo instead. Then, when you're talking about the wing-backs, most likely you actually have Ahmad in probably one of the inside 10s. That Garnacho maybe comes out of the side there. So there's a lot to change there, isn't there? There's a lot that can and will change over the next couple of weeks anyway. So that's when I sort of say that it's about the next week or so is really the critical part of getting those players back up to speed, getting those players back in the team. And then also just getting the repetition, getting the familiarity with the tactic. And it will take some time too. We've almost effectively, not physically, but tactically, got to have a pre-season midway through the season, which is really difficult. It's why a lot of managers don't like to come in mid-season, because they like to finish where they are, and also because they want to have a pre-season to implement their style, implement their tactics, their system, and have some repetition of doing it. And that's why when these managers do come in mid-season, like Jurgen Klopp or like Mikel Arteta, their first games were draws. They're a bit of a slow start, isn't it? Because they just don't have the time. And particularly now, you don't have the time to necessarily always do it in training too, because a lot of training's recovery. You're playing every 3 days. You're playing every 3 days until March at this point. I mean, the football calendar at this point is just, frenetic. Absolutely frenetic. It is non-stop. I saw something the other day that said that, I think this was beginning a few days ago, apart from 2 or 3 days, there's a football match from either the Premier League, the Championship, Champions League, Europa League, every day until Christmas. It's not even December yet. It's just constant. Football all the time. So he doesn't have the time to necessarily do it on that. So the only thing he can do is just keep trying to do it, implement it in terms of the matches, which fortunately we do have a lot of. Super chat here from J. Rowe says, Souness planting the Galatasaray flag in Fenerbahce's pitch, clearly act of the man. That was head loss. That is classic. Yeah, that was mental. If you're talking about proper managerial coaching head loss, that's up there, isn't it? That's got to be. That's like inciting a riot. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Who was the one earlier on in the season where Arteta was rolling around on the touchline after Arsenal missed a chance against Chelsea? I think even last year Pep did that when Son was through on goal, wasn't it? When Son was through on goal against City, he fell backwards and was rolling around on the touchline. Yeah, it can't be a good managerial head loss. That's good. There was when City won the Champions League and they played Inter. I think, wasn't it Simone Inzaghi? He went crazy as well. Yeah, he went crazy on the touchline. There's a few. I mean, Ruben Amorim, it's Nem Green says Klopp hamstring, but he deserved that, the Klopp hamstring one, because he went and he used to get away with this all the time, didn't he? The amount of shit he used to give to like fourth officials, and I know the irony of us, with Sir Alex Ferguson and that, but like he used to get right in the face, scream at the fourth official, and he turned around and he pulled a hamstring, which was hilarious. There's, as Christian says, there's the Pep one as well. When he does the whole, was it 3 or 2 when he going up that in the air? That was a good one. that was fun. Ruben Amorim, his celebration at the weekend, or lack thereof, when United scored in under 2 minutes, was something akin out of The Office. Did you see that? I mean, not only was it like no emotion at all, he somehow, if you watch it back, managed to kind of find the lens of whatever camera was on him. So he's watching it, it goes in, and he sort of turns and goes like that, and just turns back to the bench. I was like, oh, that's a bit cold. That's a bit cold, Ruben. I wonder if he's going to be a big celebrator in the future or not. He looked like his primary focus, to be fair, on Sunday was just completely telling players where they were meant to be, what they were meant to be doing. And to Jamie Carragher's analysis, which Flex and myself spoke about yesterday, it was working. And I think that he's probably of the mindset of just that's what he's got to put all of his energy into. All he's got to put his energy into is not touchline theatrics or anything like that. Is anyone that can hear him, you've got to do that. I saw some people say this. I did want to talk about this as well. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. So there's a really concerning, to be honest, story from coming out of yesterday, which is essentially that Manchester United. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. This was put out and then I think it was deleted, or I don't know if it's been officially put out. Like Man United put it out about tickets and then it might have been pulled back. I'm not sure. But essentially, Manchester United have removed the option of discounted tickets, and now they've decided to hike up the remaining members' match tickets to £66 per game for the remainder of the season for everyone. Now, the real concerning part of this, and I think this is awful, absolutely terrible. I mean, again, this is including anyone. So this is like, children, under 16s, OAPs, whoever you can think of, it's flat £66. And the real concern out of this is that, so many people have seen the cuts and things that have been happening at Manchester United this season, which, look, some of the cuts are frustrating. I think that, when it comes to things like redundancies and stuff like that, I've spoken about this quite a bit as someone that's worked in organizations that get taken over or bought into, or parts of organizations get sold off. That unfortunately is inevitable, and you can't really do that much about it. It's just it's an unfortunate consequence of mergers and acquisitions. So parts of that, I go, look, I get it. Manchester United have overspent, cut things down. They're making ruthless cuts. They're trying to save money. It's unfortunate and it's not ideal. You never want to see people lose their job or anything like that, particularly hardworking, good, honest people. That's not great. And then this, to see this, where it's like, also, by the way, these discounted tickets for people that shouldn't be paying this amount anyway, it's just not on. There's no way of justifying that. And if it's a case of, well, look, this is what we need to do because, I don't know, the team's underperforming, we're going to lose money because we're not going to be in the Champions League next season or what have you, it's out of order. There's no other way. There's no way to describe it. Why should the fans have to suffer for Manchester United's mismanagement? Why should the fans have to suffer? The people that support you and the people that go to games and the people that, through all the shit that's been there for a long time, now you're putting the burden onto them. doesn't seem right at all, does it? So I don't know what the situation is with that moving forward. I don't know if there's going to be a backtrack settings. I just saw the story yesterday, and I think that if there is time to do something about it, now would be the time to do something about it, because as many people have said, that I think if you sit back and do nothing, and do nothing now, or you kind of allow it and take it, then that raises the possibility for more and worse in the future. If this is happening now, then what are they going to do next season? What are they going to do the season after that? We also know that there are big spending projects coming up in the future too. We know that there's renovation going on with the training ground at the moment. We know the plan is, most likely, to build this new all singing, all dancing, 100,000 seater capacity stadium. And is it now going to be the case of, okay, well, the fans have got to pay that burden? So it's going to be a really interesting situation to see how that develops. Absolutely. Michael with the super chat says, no more UV Raw. Well, I saw him in the chat earlier on. Just Josh Media Graphics Guru Visual Ninja. I know he's on his way to Carrington right now with Flex. This is why it's a solo show this morning, because Flex and Just Josh Media Graphics Guru Visual Ninja are on their way to Carrington to see the open training session, also be in the press conference with Ruben Amorim. It's going to be at 1 o'clock. I'll be live at 2. I was told quite a while ago, actually, that there are more filmed. I know for a fact there have been more filmed. So if Josh is in the chat, he can let you know, because more should be coming soon. There should be more. I know there's at least, I think Josh was telling me there's at least, two or three episodes of UV Raw ready to go in the chamber, as it were. So if he's there, if you're watching Just Josh Media Graphics Guru Visual Ninja, he has the answers to that. Yes. Imran says, Flex is going to ask what Ruben's favourite sneakers. Well, look, you never know whether or not we'll get a question. I'm sure it'll be very, very busy. The press conference that Ruben had last Friday, I think I saw the Manchester Evening News say that there was like 50 members of the media there. For reference, there's usually like 15, perhaps maybe 20. So I'm sure there'll be lots of media there once again. Again, it's his first home game as the Manchester United head coach. There'll be a lot of people there asking questions and wanting to know. There's also usually a player. These press conferences are also longer. That's also worth pointing out too. These press conferences are usually longer than the ones you have for the Premier League, because you not only have the manager, head coach in this case, but you also have the player, and then you also have a lot of international media too. So those things can go on a little bit longer. We shall see. Hopefully we get a question, or hopefully usually you get at least one of sort of the fan media or the fan channels, whatever you want to call them, get a question in, whether it's us, whether it's United Stand, whether it's sometimes Strip for Padaker in there, whether it's sometimes other people. So we'll see, hopefully. And as Flex mentioned yesterday, it's not too late. We'll be brainstorming ideas and questions to ask both Ruben Amorim and the player, whoever the player may be in the press conference. But if you can think of a good question, if there's something you would like Flex to ask, or you think you've got a good question that could be put to the Manchester United head coach or the player, let us know in the comment section. Let us know in the live chat, and we can consider it, and we can see if that's what we should ask Ruben or not. But that's, again, going to be coming up at the press conference itself is coming up at 1 p.m. I'll be live at 2 p.m. For that one, to bring you all the quotes, all the reactions, and things like that. It'll be interesting to think, actually, what is going to be asked of Ruben Amorim today, really. I would think it's probably more a continuation of what his sort of post-match press conference against Ipswich looked like, where it's largely, it might be a bit more specific about players, which players can fit, which players can't fit, how long it's going to take. I'm still surprised that maybe he hasn't been asked too much about, the expectations or where he hopes to finish this season. Top 4, winning the Europa League. I mean, there might be some questions about actually winning the Europa League itself, I suppose, in general. And And actually, thinking about this competition and thinking about the fixtures we spoke about earlier on and where we may or may not finish in the league. Like, I know a lot of people said at the beginning of the season, like Europa League's going to be important. Europa League's going to be really important. Europa League is going to be quite critical for us getting into the Champions League next season. And you don't really want to go into a season with that mindset, do you? You want to go into the season with the mindset of, well, hopefully the Europa League will be secondary because we'll be playing so well that we'll be in the top 4 and that will be just a nice extra garnish of winning a trophy, but we're not going to use it as the way to get ourselves into the Champions League next season. But the season's gone how it's gone. We've started, well, not great. I mean, currently in the league at the moment, just to double check once again where we are in the league, we are 12th as far as where we are in terms of actually off the top 4. Arsenal are 4th with 22 points. We're 6 points behind. It's not impossible at this point, but you're looking at a similar situation to kind of like last year, really, aren't you? 0 goal difference, 13 goals scored, 13 goals conceded. And then we've got those fixtures coming up. And that's why I say come the end of sort of after that Liverpool game, we'll know, I think, by that point of like, okay, this is where the season is going and this is what our sort of priorities need to be. Because with those games coming up against Arsenal, against City, against Liverpool, against Newcastle and Forest, coming out of that, might have some bad results, might have some negative results. But we might actually, by that point, go, actually, you know what? We're 3 points off top 4, or we're 4 points off top 4. It's not over. Actually, where maybe, we can maybe still get there, or top 5, depending on how things fall. Well, let's see how that one goes. Or the end of it, we're like, right, it's Europa League or bust, folks. That's what we're going for. It's just Europa League. So the Europa League may turn out to be absolutely critical for us this season. The problem is, and my pushback with the Europa League is that I've felt like there has been this, what's the right word? I mean, maybe entitlement, something like that. That it's like, well, we're Man United, we're in the Europa League. Look at the other teams in it. We're probably we certainly are the biggest club rather in it. And no Champions League, a team's dropping down. We'll win it this season. It's fine. And you have to take a step back, I think, when it comes to that, because what evidence is there to suggest that we are capable of doing that? What evidence is there to suggest recently in Europe that we've got any kind of pedigree to do that? Our European football performances cross competition have been absolutely appalling for certainly the last 2 years. But even just going back, the best we've done in the Champions League for a long time is quarters. We got to a Europa League final under Ollie. Under Eric, it was Europa League quarters. Went out in the group stage of the Champions League, worst performance in the Champions League for us ever. And this start to the season, not good. So as much as we may think that, all right, if we just focused on the Europa League, it would be fine. I don't know. I mean, because you have to kind of fight yourself. Because I'm looking at the teams in the Europa League right now. I'm looking at the teams in there, and because with the teams not dropping down from the Champions League, you do look at it and go, surely we could beat any of those teams, right? That are in there, right? Surely. Any of these teams that are in there, you look at in there at the moment, you go, of course we could. But we've also said that. We said that last season when we played, all right, Galatasaray in there. You go, I know we could beat Galatasaray, can we? Or, we drew this season already to Twente. Last season we could beat Copenhagen away. It's like we've got to have a bit of a reality check, I think, a little bit with that. Now, and also, we've got to get to the point where we're just actually going through automatically, that we're still in that playoff place at the moment too. But it might get to that point where it is just, that's where we've got to try and do the Europa League and see what happens. As Tom says there in the chat, Liverpool were expected to win it last year. Atalanta humbled them. Very true. Very true. You never know with these like Europa League games. You you just never know what you're going to get. You sometimes just assume, again, these teams are rubbish, or they aren't that good. We're Manchester United, we'll roll them over. And it just doesn't work like that, does it? It just, maybe it would if we were in the top 4 already this season and we were competing and we were scoring goals. We'd be like, we're going to blitz Europa League. But then if it was that, we wouldn't even really be focusing that much on the Europa League. We'd be like, we're in top 4, we're looking upwards. That's kind of just, again, secondary. We'll take it more serious as it goes on. A bit like how it was when in Eric's first season, right? In Eric's first season, we were taking it seriously. Beat Barcelona, it's great, and go, oh, look at that. But then by the time it came where we win the Carabao Cup, and it was actually, we could probably get top 4 in the Prem. Not to say we didn't take it seriously, because we did. But when we did get knocked out by Sevilla, it didn't feel like, oh, it's the end of the world. We're not going to get Champions League. Because we were like, well, we're probably going to get Champions League anyway, so it's not like the worst thing. Whereas if something were to happen to us now with the Europa League, we'd be like, right, well, no Champions League, no chance this coming next season. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, that is a concern. And frankly, you know what it all comes down to? I was just looking at the Premier League table there once again. We can't score goals. We can't. I mean, I know this isn't anything new, but we can't score goals. The goals we've conceded, our goals against, is actually on par with people that are in the top 4, fighting for the top 4. We've conceded 13 goals in the Premier League this season. For reference, how many teams above us have conceded less? We're 12th, right? We're 12th. We've conceded 13 goals. There are two teams above us, only 2, that have conceded less goals than Manchester United this season in the Premier League. If I said that to you just completely out of context, and you didn't know where Manchester United were in the league, and I said there are only 2 teams in the Premier League this season that have conceded less goals than Manchester United, you'd go, you must be probably then in and around top 4. Hey, maybe even compete in title race, something like that, maybe, right? And I'd go, we're 12th. Your initial reaction would be, fucking, you ain't scoring goals then, are you, at all? You look, and then just for comparison, I mentioned that there's 2 teams above us that have conceded less goals. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 teams above us that have conceded, that have scored more goals. The only teams that have conceded less goals than Manchester United this season in the Premier League are Liverpool and Arsenal. And Arsenal have only conceded 1 less than us. Liverpool have only conceded 8. They are properly, killing the league. Sirens in the chat, first of the day. So it's pretty clear, isn't it? We can start scoring more goals, we're probably going to win more matches and climb up the table. My biggest concern with that is, I mentioned this on the red carpet, is I think you look at, that team that played on Sunday against Ipswich, and I mentioned the defence, which again it's ironic because we're talking about all of these people that are going to be coming back. Whether it's Leacher, Lenny Yoro, obviously the Malacia Shaw, those players. It's almost like that's not the problem. That's not the issue. That will come back and hopefully I'll make it even better. Andre Onana is arguably our best player this season, along with the likes of Mazraoui and Ahmed probably. But you look at that starting 11 that played at the weekend, it's not like we didn't have our attacking players available. It's not like you go at that front three, you go, oh, we just didn't have any strikers available. All of our people that could play in the 9, they were all fit and ready to play at the weekend. Rashford played. We had Højlund and Xerxes on the bench. When you look at Bruno, was available. Ahmad had to play right wing back, but Garnacho was available. So it's not as if we didn't have, those players. Oh, it's just we're waiting for these players to come back. We've got them. We've got them. They just lack quality. They just lack quality, and they lack that, goal scoring instinct. Who's going to score the goals? And with that, I don't have an answer apart from the people that are going to probably score the goals for Manchester United don't play for Manchester United at the moment. And I think once again, it's how wild it is. And this goes back to recruitment. A lot of Man United's problems always go back to recruitment. But once again, you go, this coming summer will probably most likely be the third summer in a row that we go into it and one of our primary, if not our primary target, will be a striker. 2 years ago, it was Højlund. This past summer, it was Xerxes, one of our primary targets, our first signing. And next summer, it will be the same again. It will be, we need to get a striker. When it comes to, obviously, Xerxes, time will tell. You like to give players a full season at least. But I think, you watch him already. It's quite clear that he's not, he says it himself, he's not a 9, so he's not a goal scorer. We knew that getting him. That's not a revelation, but he's not a goal scorer. So you go, okay, he's not really going to be contributing a lot of goals. Rasmus Højlund, I've mentioned before, my feeling is with Rasmus Højlund is that I do think he's a good player, and I do think he can contribute, and I do think he's got qualities, but I don't think he is, and look, he's still very young, but I don't think he's that guy that you go, right, he's the number 9 at Manchester United. He's the one that leads the line. He's the one that, all right, he's going to go get you 20, 25 goals a season, something like that. Now, again, he's very young. And sometimes with strikers, things just click. And then when they click, they go off and then they never stop, right? You look at Harry Kane, right? I'm not saying that Højlund's Harry Kane, but sometimes that does happen with strikers is they just get good, basically. They just start scoring goals and then they don't stop. But I don't know if he's going to be that guy. So and look, if maybe he is going to be that guy, what we do know, let's break it down. Well, what we don't know is what he's going to be in 4 or 5 years' time. We don't know that. Imran says, who was Gyökeres 5 years ago? All right, fair enough. We don't know that. But can Manchester United basically afford to wait 5 years to find out? Or can they get someone in now or next summer to be like, right, until that happens, if that happens, we need someone that's ready to go right now because we can't afford to wait. We can't afford to wait. We can't afford to just sort of basically hang around and wait for people to come good or people to suddenly start scoring goals. We need to fix it. With Rashford playing up front, I actually think that I think with Rashford, I think he's going to probably continue playing in that role as the striker. I still have reservations about it. I know that there have been the sort of clips going around and of times where the player should have passed it through and Rashford was trying to make runs. I just think with him, that Ipswich game was just such a big eye opener. Honestly, it was a big eye opener for me because I just felt like I feel like he's lost a yard or two of pace, which again I don't know if it's a case of injuries throughout his career stack up. I don't know if it's a case of just playing a lot of football. I mean, he broke into the Man United side really early on, really at a really young age, and I don't know if he's just been overplayed. I think his sort of body types maybe changed a little bit, and I just don't know if he can necessarily maybe do that role of the striker in Amorim's system. So I look at the options that we've got, and I go, we need someone that's ready-made right now. And by the way, when talking about Højlund, because I see people, in the chat, like DK says here, when people say things like, I wonder what we do we have to wait till the young attackers are 27 until we expect a performance? Or I've seen people saying, Markerin says here, how many chances has Rasmus missed? That's tight, none, because he doesn't get them. His XG is higher than Haaland. I don't get this Rasmus criticism. How can a striker score with no service? Look, whenever you bring up some of these players, people get quite defensive about it, or about them, or defend them, and it's fine. It's not even necessarily a knock against them. It's not even. I think it's just, again, seeing the situation for really what it is. So, let's and again, and not making excuses. Rashford, as a striker, it's not his natural position anyway. At this point in his career, can he adapt to do it? I don't necessarily think he can. I think Ruben will try and just sort of make do for the rest of the season with that. But it's not the solution. Joshua Xerxes, it's already been established that as a number 9, That's not his role. So that's not the solution to the number 9. Rasmus Højlund. Look, every time his name gets brought up, you get these things going, it's no service, it's no this, it's no this, it's no that. Rasmus Højlund's got his deficiencies. This is not, again, we're not going to do the martyr thing here again, right? Yes, he's 21. Yes, he can improve. Yes, he can get better. But there are also parts of his game that is incredibly frustrating. He starts resting with players. If he gets chances, doesn't always score them. He's not ready-made right now. What you probably need in that Man United team, you need that striker that is like 26, 27, that isn't a converted winger to playing through the middle, like Rashford, that is a natural number 9 to play. That's what we need. And then if you've got that, then the pressure comes off some of those younger strikers, and then you can see if they can develop, if they can sink, or if they're going to sink or they're going to swim. But as of right now, we just don't have those options, and it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that this season it's the same as it was last season. Really, when you think about it, it's no real coincidence that last season we have a negative goal difference. We struggled to score goals, and this summer, what did we really add into that? We added into that buying a 9.5 or whatever that isn't known for goal scoring, and then we wonder, wow, we haven't scored that many goals again this season. Well, we didn't really add any goals into the team, did we? We didn't. We didn't. With the signings that we made over the summer, we didn't add goals into that team. How you add goals into that team? You buy a striker that will bring you 20 goals or 25 goals. So, and when it comes to Højlund too, I still go back to it. When we signed him, initially it was thought that we'd sign him for was it 40 million or something, and it was thought that we were going to sign him and another striker. He was meant to be the young backup that develops, and there was meant to be this established striker that comes in with him that kind of eases the burden on everything. And where we find ourselves is putting a striker there that's, still developing. You don't know what the final form is going to look like, and the expectation is that he's going to score 25, 30 goals. That's why I say it's not a knock on Højlund. It's just a reality of what it is, of the situation. I think people just decided that Haaland, because he's blonde and he's from Denmark, even though Haaland's blonde and from Norway. Oh, it's the same region basically. It's bullshit, isn't it? It's just rubbish. So where those goals are going to come from, your guess is as good as mine. Whether it is, Bruno upping his numbers. I think because partially for a while, even under the Ole days, that kind of bailed Man United out for a period of time, wasn't it? Bruno scored the amount of goals that he scored from advanced positions. And then that dropped off because that's not, his numbers aren't even that kind of sustainable. And then again, you just look throughout the team and just go, where are they going to come from? Where are those goals going to come from in that team? And I think because of that, that's one of those challenges again for Ruben Amorim, and I'm interested to see if someone does ask him that in his press conference today of just, how are you going to get this team scoring again? How do you think you can get this team scoring again? Because that is going to be such a conundrum for him to fix, and I just don't know if that is something that he can fix without reinforcement. And the reinforcement, come January, I don't know if I can see a striker coming in January, really. I think the most likely signing in January, I know it's tight for PSR and FFP and stuff like that. I think the most likely signing in January is a left wing back. I think that, because they're easier to get, you can get one on loan. So I think that's something that he might do, or United might do. I think it was Romano yesterday, wasn't it, basically saying that after the Ipswich game, he sort of said to the hierarchy, Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, etc., need a left back. Need a left wing back. That's what we need. And I think you can get one in January. It might not be the final option of the one that they want, but you can get a loan and you can do something there. As far as a striker, I suppose you could get a loan striker, but again, they run the risk with that of doing the thing we did for years, which was the stopgap striker. And I don't know if that's necessarily what United should do. So it's difficult. it's difficult with that one. We've got a new member of the UV Members Club. Latest member is Adamu. Welcome to you, the latest member of the UV Members Club. Reminder, you can join the membership. Links in the video description. It's also pinned in the chat. We've got over 1,100 people watching at the moment. We're currently at under 400 likes. Under 400 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get it to 500 before we wrap up the show. As far as Sporting last night, by the way, did you see that as well? Ruben Amorim leave Sporting, lose 5-1. Bloody hell. Coach doesn't have that much of an impact though, does it? So just, what's changed there in the last couple of weeks? Oh, is Ruben Amorim not there anymore? Just immediately lose. When he was there, they beat City 4-1. But then I suppose everyone's doing that. Everyone's doing that at the moment. Everyone's beating City or scoring goals against Manchester City. It is quite funny, isn't it? Because not that it diminishes Sporting's win over City. Beating them 4-1, incredible result. But at the time, it was so shocking, wasn't it? I'm like, wow, people don't beat City by that scoreline, and City were 1-0 up to, you go, wow. And then in recent weeks, because of how bad City have been, it's almost like that's now played down. You go, oh, actually, City's shit. City are rubbish. And the City thing is just wild, because I was thinking this last night too. Obviously, I know that Pep's just signed a new contract, and he's going to be there for 2 more years. But I was thinking, is this like, when Chelsea won the league with Jose the last time, and he signed a new contract, I think. And then they just the next season, that's when like the Jose meltdown, the Jose decline started happening. And it just kept losing. And there was just this like feeling at the time, wasn't there, with Jose and Chelsea of like, oh, but it will turn around, because it always does. It will turn around. And it just didn't. I'm like, with City, is that a potential for that to happen? Is that a potential for that to happen? Are they just going to just keep losing and losing and losing? And are they then going to go, oh, yeah, actually, about that contract? Or is Pep going to go, about that contract? Like, I don't even want it anymore. I'm out of here. Like, this is shit. Like they'd never sack him. But does Pep, look at him on the thumbnail. With the scratches and the stuff on his face, maybe just goes like, actually, fuck this. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Actually, I'm out of here. I'm going. It's just not working. So, yeah, it's mad. Absolutely mad. I could not believe what I was watching, and I watched before I even went live this morning. I watched the highlights again, and the goals that they conceded last night. It was like when I was watching the Liverpool game on Sunday, but when I was doing the pre-match. And, we were saying, like, Southampton, they, like, give you goals. They'll give you goals. And, like, the goalkeeper, McCarthy, on Sunday, like, they'll just give you goals. That's what it was like last night. Those goals from, like, Edison, horrific. Like, beyond horrific. Like, there's one where he does, like, the David De Gea hold on to the post, but it still managed to go through him, and they tap it in. There's obviously with the third goal when he just comes flying out unnecessary. Like, it was just pure chaos. And of course they've got Liverpool at the weekend, and it's just like, wow. Actually the couple of games they got coming up, yeah, no joke. They got Liverpool on Sunday, which I think the general consensus is that they'll lose. Like, it might be peak for them to win, but their record at Anfield is not very good. And then even after that, like, this is how mad it is too. Before, when you'd go City playing at home, like, for instance, if you're casually watching football and you go, oh, I'm going to sit down on the sofa, watch football because it's on. If it's City playing at home, you don't bother to watch. You go, hey, it's going to be boring, they're going to win, who cares? But like now, they play Forest at home next Wednesday, a week today. And actually, like, that's anyone's guess. Forest won at Anfield this season. That is anyone's guess as to what could happen in that game. I mean, I know that obviously Arsenal battled them at home at the weekend, but anyone's guess. They got to go to Palace, and Palace have been rubbish this season, but anyone's guess. They got to play Juventus then away. You never know. Then they got to play us at the Etihad. I don't know. We are in just very unique territory, aren't we? We're in very, very unique territory with all of that, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to watch. It is. It's nice. Again, seeing these collapses. I mean, we're just very used to it, aren't we? As United fans, we are the kings of the 3-3. So for that to happen to them, it's terrific. Amanor with the super chat says, Owen, I'm going to the game based on your advice. Well, don't put that burden on me, Amanor, okay? On the full-time view on Sunday, Amanor ended his call. He said, I can go to the game on Thursday, should I go? And my response is, yeah, Ruben Amorim's first game as Man United head coach, bit of history, hopefully a win. Yeah, why not? And now if we lose, apparently it's going to be my fault, Amanor. I would say if you're going to bring that energy,
you better watch out, because we are come for you.
I'm not having that burden put on me, Amanor. Yeah, we're not doing that. No, thank you. So yeah, there you go. How many likes did we currently end up at? We're less than 100. We're less than 100 to go to 500. So if you haven't already, click the like button. And be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Click the bottom right-hand corner to make the top right-hand corner move, as you can see. 182,000. 419. Let's get it to 420. On the way to 200K. Reminder what's coming up today. Today we've got a lot. We've got a lot happening. So that legitimately now is the time to subscribe. Make sure you click the notification bell because stuff's going to be going up all the time. So we've got Flex on the way to Carrington right now as we speak. He's going to be covering all things happening today. Open training session, he'll be there, which I think even the open training session streams on like Man United's YouTube or something like that at like 11. So you can check that out, but Flex is going to be there for that. Of course, he's going to be inside the press conference at Carrington. That press conference is at 1 p.m. I'll be going live at 2 p.m., hopefully with some clips as well of the presser. If not, we'll just bring you the quotes about what Ruben Amorim had to say. Later on today as well, we'll get a match preview from Flex, from Carrington, so you get some clips of not only the open training session, but obviously the presser and everything else that he's hearing inside Carrington. So that'll be coming up later on today as well. Plus, you never know what they're going to be up to. There might be other stuff that just happens whilst they're there, so it gets quite sort of improvised. So now's the time to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Tomorrow, of course, it's match day, so we'll have morning view, then we'll have the full match day build up, we'll have road trip, we'll have the match view live with myself and Mr. That Comedian, KG That Comedian, THA That Comedian will be joining me as well for that one. So there's plenty happening at the moment, so be sure to subscribe, click the like button, get involved, and if you've watched at the start and made it all the way to the end, you can also put in the comment section below, guys, what's your favourite manager head loss? Yeah, we saw it last night with Pep, with the scratches, old cat lady Guardiola there with his big woolen jacket, big woolen jumper, scratching his face. Like he's a crackhead, let's be honest. That's what Pep's looking like. What's your favourite manager head loss? Let us know in the comment section below. I'm interested, actually, to see what you guys say. Anyway, I'm out of here, and I'll see you again later on. Peace!